And did you know that on the night the Titanic sank in April of 1912, Captain Smith got 7 different warnings about icebergs out in the North Atlantic, and he didn't change a thing. The Titanic maintained speed, it didn't change course, it didn't slow down, and we all know what happened after that. And right now, the legacy media is doing the exact same thing. Change is all around us. The signs are everywhere, but for some reason, ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, MSNBC, The Washington Post, and the New York Times are all the Titanic. They aren't changing a thing. Despite the warnings, it's a ship that's going full steam ahead, a ship full of fools right now. Trump won on November the 5th. He won the popular vote. He won every battleground state. He won the House. He won the Senate. He's got the Supreme Court. Donald Trump is now the iceberg, and the media is refusing to change course, and they are doing exactly what they did the day before the election. But the iceberg's coming. The iceberg is coming, and it's Donald Trump. The New York Times today, writing about the final days of the Biden presidency, and they are still writing about him like he's running for president. 33 days before Donald Trump becomes president, the New York Times, who also have a first-class cabin booked on board the Titanic right next to Rose, they're talking about Joe Biden like the last 6 months never happened. Take a look at this. Several of those who traveled with Mr. Biden on those 2 trips took note that he maintained a light schedule at times and sometimes mumbled. At the same time, those with him said he was focused on the issues at hand and demonstrated command of the details. In meetings, aides said he's still astute, still dictating specific actions, and still editing speeches to suit his preferences. He demonstrated command of the details. That is something you would see on your child's report card. It's not something you would hear someone say when describing the President of the United States. Command of the details. Again, this man is president. Still, I hope that he has command of the details. We know he doesn't, but I hope he does. In meetings, aides said he is still astute, still dictating specific actions. Again, the New York Times is describing the President of the United States, the leader of the free world. He is still dictating specific actions, is something a nursing home would write home to a family around the holidays to make them feel better. Don't worry, Tony's fine. Yesterday, he asked for chocolate milk, and guess what? He's still dictating specific actions. What we're seeing right now from the media is something I'm calling Titanic-syndrome. And the New York Times is in the very final stages of Titanic-syndrome. The end is coming. They know it, but they don't change a thing. And instead of writing a real story about Joe Biden's health, the cover-up, what's really going on at the White House, they continue to pretend it's business as usual. But we right now are way past business as usual. Donald Trump's win last month disrupted the natural order of things to the point where Joe Biden's approval rating now, today, at an all-time low of 34%, with 66% of Americans saying they disapprove of his performance as president. Nixon was at 66% when he left office. That's how bad it is right now for the big guy. Over at CNN, it's the exact same thing. Their first-class cabin is right across the hall from the New York Times on board the Titanic. The network is about to finish their worst year in the ratings in their history. It has very literally never been worse for CNN than it is right now. And a poll that came out right after the election found that the majority of Trump voters got their news from independent media, places like Newsmax, podcasts, and YouTube, while the majority of Kamala voters got their news from the legacy media. And that tells you everything you need to know about what happened on November the 5th. And right down the hall from the media, again, on board the Titanic, that we're showing is not the Titanic, but it's the best we could do. Right down the hall, so Rose has got the nice cabin, right? Jack's down in steerage. Right down the hall are Democrats in Washington who can't wait to climb on board a sinking ship. And they keep doing what they've always done. Here's Massachusetts Senator Ed Markey.
All aboard who are coming aboard. Isn't that fun? Put on your conductor's caps and join me as we steam ahead towards the rail of the future. All aboard!
He's talking about a train. I'm pretending he's talking about getting on board a boat. It worked.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.